Alrighty, so we know how to fetch a single document. Now let's take a look at how to fetch multiple documents in a collection. First thing we're going to need to do is create another document or two in our categories collection. So let's go ahead and do that. Right here in our categories, we can say add document. We're going to say auto ID, and then we're just going to fill out the fields. So we have name. And let's go ahead and bring back our nature category. Then we'll add field. And this is going to be our ID, which we can just copy right here and paste to that. Next up, we have an image URL. Let's go ahead and go back to Unsplash and find a nice nature photo. This one right here looks cool. So I'm gonna right click and say copy image address, and then come back to our database here and paste that. Add another field, and this is going to be our is active. So I'm going to say is active, and we're going to set that to a Boolean, and value is true. And then we have our timestamp, and that's going to be of type timestamp, and we'll go ahead and just say today's date. Don't need to set a time, and then we'll say save. All right, so now we have two categories here. I'm gonna go ahead and add one more. I'll probably just fast forward through this. If you want, you can add another one as well. All right, so I went ahead and added one more, so we have three. All right, now let's figure out how to fetch all of these documents in this collection. So we're gonna go back to Xcode, and here in our home VC, I'm gonna comment this line out here, and we're gonna create a new function called func fetch collection. Okay. And similar to how we fetched our document, we need to start out with a reference, a Firestore reference. Only this time, instead of a document reference, we're going to have a collection reference. So I'm going to say let collection reference equal db.collection, and the name of the collection that we want to fetch the documents from is categories. All right, so that's a little bit shorter than the previous reference. And so now we have our collection reference. We can say collection reference dot, and we can see all of the methods that we could do. Later on, we're going to be using these ones, add documents. So this would be the method that you call to add documents to the collection. But right now we want get documents right here. And we have a completion handler here. If I press return or enter, we see that we get back a query snapshot. In the get document function, we got back a document snapshot. So let's see what's different about that. I'm going to go ahead and name this snap and error, and then get rid of that code. And then we're going to go back to Safari, where we were looking at our framework reference. And we're still here in the iOS Swift section here. If you closed out of this or you're watching it on a different day, you can just search for Fire Query Snapshot iOS. And this one should get us either there or close to it. Let's see, we might still be in Objective-C. Yes, we are. So come back up here to iOS Swift, then down to Firebase Firestore, classes, and query snapshot. All right, so it says here that a Fire Query Snapshot contains 0 or more Fire Document Snapshot objects, and it can be enumerated using for-in, and its size can be inspected with isEmpty and count. So basically, it's an object that contains an array, or 0 or more, of the document snapshots that we've already been working with. Okay, so we're pretty familiar with that already, so this should be pretty easy. Basically, all we're getting is an array of what we worked with up here. Okay, so we can say guard let documents equal snap dot, and then you can see here that we have an array of query document snapshot documents. I'm going to say else return. Now that we have our documents, we can say for document in, we're just going to iterate through them all. We can get the data for each document. So I'm going to say let data equal document dot data. And then we can say let new category equal category dot init and just pass in that data. Then add that category to our categories array using append new element new category. And finally, once we go through all of the documents, then we'll call reload data on our collection view. And that should be it. Let's go ahead and run this and see if that works. Oh, I almost forgot to call the function. Right here, we'll say fetch collection, save and run. Ooh, check that out. Beautiful. Now we have our 3 categories all showing. Very, very cool. All right, so just to recap, we have here in our root database a collection called categories. Inside of that categories collection, we have 3 documents. In our code, we have a collection reference pointing, right here, we have a collection reference pointing at that collection called categories. We call the method getDocuments on that reference, which returns a query snapshot in which there is a property called documents, which contains an array of 0 or more Fire document snapshots. From there, we just iterate through them, getting the data, creating our new categories, and adding them to our categories array. Once that's all finished, we just reload the data. And we end up with this. So pretty cool stuff, and we're gonna cut this video right here. Hope you guys are enjoying all this really cool stuff about Firestore, and it's gonna get even cooler as we get into snapshot listeners. So I will see you in the next one.